Okay, it's 4 o'clock and we are recording now. Mr. Ramesh, on to you.
Thank you, Mr. William, and welcome all students. So today's session, our series of webinar, we have come to actually the sixth series of STEM webinars, and thanks to our moderator, Captain Kannan, for being able to bring all these wonderful speakers to our platform for the past 2 months. I think we started somewhere in June. All right. So today we are very privileged to have retired General Dato Azizon Ariffin as our speaker, and he is going to talk about career path and being a pilot in RMAF. Very seldom we have an opportunity to meet a pilot. So students, you're very lucky today. You can ask plenty of questions, and both Captain Kannan, who's also a pilot. Let me officially introduce you, Captain Kannan, because he is going to moderate and he will do the official introduction. So Captain Kannan is somebody who's very passionate about STEM education, and he is by profession a pilot, right? And he's also an adjunct professor with UTM. So he'll be moderating. Therefore, I shall give him the honors of introducing Dato Azizon. To you, Captain.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this session. As Mr. Ramesh said, this is a sixth session, and we managed to get the session running through a lot of the aviation topics. So this is a bit difficult. Probably this is the first time we have been doing this in Malaysia. So six of aviation, and continuously I also have a few more lineups of aviation professionals who will come and give some talk. Right, this STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, also includes arts and also design, is organized together with MACRI, which is part of Mr. Ramesh and Mr. William's effort, which stands for Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation. So what we are expecting is that through these type of talks, besides listening to these talks, students also start to think and have plans for their future, right? So today we have General Azizon, a retired RMAF, I think about 40 over years in the service. So he has a lot of experience. So we're going to listen to him. He's going to talk about being a pilot. That's the main thing. Then and also about the military services itself, and also another main area, which is the university. Military has their own university, which is UPNM, University Pertahanan Malaysia. A little bit on Army and Navy probably in between. He will add on these things. Right. Part of this program also educational to spark interest, as I said, and engaging educators, the students, the teachers, and also the parents, and also industry. That's where the brigadier comes in. So the topic here, as I said, will be very insightful, and hopefully the students can gain a lot of information. And if you have any questions, please write it down. You can also type it in the chat box, and then once we come to the question and answer, I will read it out to the brigadier, and then we will take it from there. Right. So with that, I would like to introduce Brig Azizon, and before that, we have a video. General, would you like to take over from here and then introduce the video, and then we
Okay.
will.
All right.
Right?
Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Ramesh, William, and Captain Kannan for the introduction. Very kind of you to invite me to give this briefing to the main focus will be the student from 3, 4, and 5, so 15 to 17 years, which is I think a good target group. Basically, my briefing will cover in 3 parts. The first part will be the video. The second part will be introducing myself. Uh, well, let's start from school because this is where the target group murid-murid yang ada di sini will get to know how about I came to join the Air Force. Now the third slide will be talking about for you to join to be the RMAF pilot, you have to go through the new process Before, during my time, it was immediately after Form 5, we applied, and with the academic qualification that we have, at that time was MCE, all right, with very good in maths, science, English, and Bahasa. We were qualified and called for interview. Now, this time around, things have evolved from 1977 when I first joined to 2021. A lot of things have changes. So this briefing will tell you, before you could join to be a pilot, you have to go through the process, which I will go through with all of you. Now, to start with, let's have a view at the video. Ramesh, can we have the video, please?
Yeah, this is a very interesting video. So I think hopefully this motivates a lot of you.
This video will show, I think, a lot during the Langkawi Air Show. You know, this goes back, I think, in 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
No sound, Mr. Ramesh.
This is the MiG-29 Falcon, and that is the Su-30. All right. The other pilots, very dashing, very aggressive look. This is our special forces, Pasukan Khas Udara. All right. The pilots are walking to the aircraft, you know, all gear up, ready to fly. Now, untuk anak murid-murid, for you to be a pilot, you have to observe strictly to having enough sleep, proper food, proper rest, and everything else. So this pilot that you see here, they are observing all this strict discipline, right? So that they can perform this maneuver, what you are seeing in front of you. This is the aerobatic that the Su-30 can do. The maneuver itself doesn't, it beats the logic of aerodynamic, but the Russian design is so good, right? They can do these maneuvers. This is the Hawk 108, a single seater. You might see also a Hawk 208, a twin seater. The one in front is a single seater, at the back is the two seater. These are all the maneuver that they perform. They call it the BFM and AFM, right? Basic flight maneuver and advanced flight maneuver. These are trained to all the pilots to do all this maneuver. It has to be coordinated because these are position flying, very technical. You cannot afford to make mistake, right? That's why you have to be very precise. For info, we also have a lot of lady pilots nowadays, all right? So anak murid yang ada, yang perempuan, don't be shy to join the Air Force. It's very challenging. The F-18 here, Super Hornet. The current one is called the Super Hornet, all right? It's F-18 E and F. They are doing air-to-air refueling using our tanker, the C-130 tanker. The Hawk again. I got a joyride on this aircraft, the Hawk. Very nice aircraft. I also had a joyride on the F-18. Woo! Beautiful aircraft. No sound, eh? Well, the sound, the music, they had a background, a very contemporary music for the youngsters. They should put a Top Gun song. It would be nice.
So maybe later can share this video in the STEM website.
Yeah. This one is taken from the YouTube. This allowed to be broadcast.
Okay.
Okay, that is the first part, the video, alright, to motivate anak-anak murid yang ada yang mengikut kita punya video ni, All right. The next slide is to talk about myself. I think I have been introduced by Captain Kannan. I have been in the service for 40 years now. If you look on the slide that I have given to Ramesh, right, the background, we go to the top, please, Ramesh, all the way to the top. You're taking it towards the end there. Okay. Now we go to the second slide. Now the second slide is basically telling about my career progression. It started from school. The second slide, Ramesh. All right. I come from College Sultan Abdul Hamid. All right. We call ourselves Collegian or our alumni Sauka. Now I had a good 5 years education there. All right. For your info, just like you, though we have a counselor in school, but maybe I'm an introvert person, shy. So the counselor, I did not approach requesting him to him or her to brief me with reference to know what I want to do when I at that time leaving the school. All right. So this idea of presenting to the student now is very good. Now, the slide also shows I started to join the Air Force in 1978, right? That time, we have to do the cadet training, right? It took us 1 year, 6 months in Batangkara, and 6 months in Royal Military College. So it's a 1 year training there. And thereafter, you know, I have to go to the flying school in Alustar. And all the way, you see the slide going down to 2008. Now, that is my flying profession. Thereafter, it's all boring. I'll be sitting in the desk there, facing the computer, having meeting, blah, 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 blah. Now, flying is the end of it for most of us when we get higher and higher. All right. So the next slide will show you the various aircraft that I flew. All right. I started with a Bulldog, followed by a Cessna for my advanced flying. And then when I became an instructor, I flew the PC-7. All right. Next slide. I also flew the Caribou, right? My first operational aircraft, followed by the HS-125. At that time, it was the aircraft in the Air Force. Before we received Fokker 28, Challenger, BBJ, and the Falcon 900. Next slide. Now, this is the most advanced aircraft that I flew during my tour of duty then. That was in 1996, after I came back from Australia. All right, next slide. Followed by the King Air 200 and also the King Air 350. That is the last operational flying that I undertake. Next slide. As a hobby, I took the opportunity to fly these two aircraft, right? That the Air Force have at that time, the MD3 and the Eagle 150. I think the next slide is more to show anak-anak murid semua. Oh, this is the this is the general flying, general aviation. I did it during the weekend. Part of my passion in flying, right? I joined the flying club to instruct a lot of students. Some are from Germany, from Austria, from Britain, from Australia, New Zealand. So my students are mostly expatriate. Right, I'm glad they understand my English. So they are now a pilot flying all these general aviation aircraft. So the aircraft is the experimental, the Cessna 150 and the Cessna 170. Okay, next slide. The very fast one, these are the aircraft in the Air Force inventory, the Su-30 flanker. Next. FA-18 Hornet. Next. This is the D version, the Malaysian version. Next. This is the MiG-29 Falcon. All right, we are about to decommission the aircraft. We are trying to purchase a replacement aircraft. Next. We have the MAK MB339, the C model. We have an earlier A model. All right, next. And we have the Hawk 108-208, still using it, and we're also looking for replacement. Now, the next slide. All right, well, before you could be an Air Force pilot, my briefing here will tell you how you can go about joining the armed forces first. before you start to be streamlined towards becoming an Air Force pilot. Now, this briefing will, the aim is to brief you, right? Next slide. Sorry, the scope of the briefing here. Now, the scope of the briefing will first cover, hang on, I need to change my slide too. Accidentally switch off mine. Now, can you read the slide in front of you?
Can you see in the presentation?
It's too small for me. Yeah, it's too
Okay.
small. Hang on. Okay. I will introduce you to the organization of the armed forces, and also the organization that takes care on the recruiting of potential students who would like to join the armed forces first before we streamline them to join the Air Force. Then we have two schemes here basically on the third scope, right? The first scheme is the graduate cadet. The second scheme is the UPNM cadet. And of course, the last one is the procedure on how you want to apply to join these two schemes. Okay, can we go on the next slide? All right, the aim is for me to brief you. All right, the career in the armed forces is very challenging. In the Air Force, also challenging, especially to be a pilot. All right, and it will show you, make your parents be very happy you join them. Of course, nothing is flowery. There are risks involved. So when you join the armed forces, I think your parents are well aware about this. Now, this is the organization chart of the Ministry of Defense, right? On your right, a lot of colors there. It's basically the Armed Forces of Malaysia, right? Angkatan Tentera Malaysia. Untuk adik-adik semua, Angkatan Tentera Malaysia ni kita ada 3 perkhidmatan. Perkhidmatan pertama adalah tentera darat, laut dan udara. So selalunya untuk adik-adik yang tidak tahu, selalunya adik akan kata Army. Army is only the darat. Yeah. You also have the other two, bermakna the Navy and the Air Force. So dalam perkhidmatan ATM, there are 3 services there. Now on your left, you see organization chart are all the civilian that is supporting the Ministry of Defense. Can we go on the next slide? The next slide will show you the organization chart of the armed forces. Yang paling atas, which I hope adik-adik yang mendengar ini, you are inspired to work hard and reach the highest level, which is to be the Chief of Defence Force, PAT, Panglima Angkatan Tentera. It's a 4-star. Of course, the other 3 services, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, also a 4-star, right? But then the one in command will be the Chief of Defence Force. Chief of Defence Force is also supported by the Chief of Staff, Chief of Joint Ops, and the Intelligence Director. This is basically the organization of the armed forces. Now, if you take note, in the Air Force there, we also have our own organization, and we consist about 19,000 personnel, right? So that will be good for you to know if you join, you are in that 19,000. All right, next slide. Now this is the rank insignia for the other rank, all right? Lain-lain pangkat ATM. Sebelah kiri adalah darat, sebelah tengah adalah laut, sebelah kanan adalah udara. All right, next slide akan tunjuk insignia pangkat pegawai. Same arrangement, the Army on the left, the Navy in the center, the right is the officer. Now untuk adik-adik sekalian, apabila tamat latihan, sekiranya dipilih untuk memasuki UPNM ataupun melalui skim graduan, you will start with the rank of Lieutenant Muda, which is at the bottom there. Ramesh, can you arrow that? All right, this is where you start. Of course, your rank will be accelerated all the way up to captain. You will be accelerated. Lieutenant to captain is accelerated, special because you have a degree and you are a pilot. So the promotion will be very fast. Major onwards is a bit of a challenge. You have to sit for your exam, blah, 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 all the way up, all right? And then at the end, when you have the star on your shoulder there, politics come in, okay? Next slide. Now, the next slide is, this is the cawangan that take care of recruitment, all right? Cawangan Tenaga Kerja. In short, we call it CTK. The current boss is Brigadier General Robai. The one on the extreme right is Cell C. These are the one that take care on the selection and recruitment of candidates, which is you. When you complete your Form 5, you get your result, right? They are the one who will be advertising, and they are the one who organize the interview and the selection process. Next slide, please. Skim kemasukan pegawai ATM, we have two schemes. In fact, there are many others, but the one that is officially is the two scheme. Next slide. The first scheme is the pegawai cadet graduan, meaning to say here, kalau sekiranya adik-adik tidak berjaya memasuki UPNM, you are not successful to join UPNM, then you have another option. You go to the other university, whether it's a private university or a government university, right? When you complete your studies, now, this is where it is catchy here. If you are still interested to join the armed forces using the scheme graduan, make sure the course that you select is the course that the armed forces wants you. Contoh, doctor, they want you. Get a good result, apply, they want you. Engineer, they want you. So basically, armed forces, if you are interested to join, and Air Force, go more online of technical. They are very, very interested to recruit you. All right. So if you follow this scheme, the training, the military training for you will be 9 months. But if you go to the scheme pegawai cadet, UPNM, sorry, it will take you about 4 to 6 years, depending on the course that you undergo. Can we go on the next slide? Good. The graded scheme. All right. Next slide. Okay, too small for me to see. Getting old. Okay, now for you to join the armed forces here, all right, look at it, underline in red there, jurusan yang diperlukan oleh perkhidmatan. This is very important. So adik-adik kalau berminat untuk join Angkatan Tentera, especially Air Force, right, go on the technical side, which is engineering. Then you can still apply to join the Air Force, and that is the requirement. Of course, your result could be very, very, very good because the demand is very high. Next, latihan kenderaan. Look at the. Can we go back to the previous slide? This is interesting. All right, gaji will be given to you during your training. You are looking at 2,100. When you plus your allowances at the bottom there, you might end up getting about 3,000. Imagine, dalam latihan 9 bulan, you are earning about 3,000. Pakaian diberikan, semua diberikan. So, you are getting 3,000, almost 3,000 a month. Right? On the right side is telling you, if you end up as dalam pengurusan, which is management, your starting pay will be about 2,500. If you join engineering, you'll be about 2,008. Now, doctors will get more, 3,000. But of course, back to Captain Kannan requesting me to cover the Air Force. The Air Force, of course, they always, the sky above, gaji dia akan potong yang tiga-tiga ni. Alright, because our flying allowance is about 2,000 to 4,000. So, bila campur yang tu, we beat everybody else. Alright? And di bawah tu adalah allowance that all of you will get when you join the armed forces, especially during training, and also after you are commissioned. Next slide. Now, kelayakan asas here. Now, adik-adik, it is important for you, number one, your age must not be above 27 untuk graduan. Siapa yang dah masuk belajar di universiti luar, your age must not be 27. So, I suggest you apply early before you reach your age of 27. Now, tinggi as written on the slide, berat badan we are very particular, it says minimum. So adik-adik yang selalunya tak suka makan ni, kurus, makan sikit-sikit saja adik makan makanan yang sihat. At the same time yang adik yang bulat-bulat tu masih boleh join, kita terima yang bulat-bulat, tetapi cabaran adalah untuk to undergo the training lah. Military training ni memang tough. So kalau adik yang berat ni, bayangkan kaki yang kecil kat bawah dengan badan yang besar kat atas, menghadapi training tentera tu very tough. Alright. Now, the rest of it here are basic medical punya requirement. You have to be medically fit. Mata, telinga, ukuran tangan, kaki, meet the requirement. Of course, dalaman also kita very particular, that's why the requirement untuk X-ray. Alright, so adik-adik, you are now in Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Take care of your health, especially mata, telinga dan your physical fitness. So bagus kalau cikgu suruh berlari pagi, cikgu suruh exercise petang, that will help you a lot. Okay, now next. Now the next one we are talking about the kelayakan akademik. Now for the graduate officers, jurusan yang Armed Forces berminat tu is you have a degree with honours. This is the requirement. Now, di sini dia tulis tu minimum PNGK which is 2.7. Now, adik-adik, kalau kita nak masuk ATM, jangan aim for minimum. Try to score as much as possible. Why? Because the demand yang nak minta join Armed Forces memang ramai. So, you have to do very well for them to have the choice of selecting the best to join the Armed Forces. Alright, kalau adik-adik tengok di bawah tu is talking about kepujian C sahaja. And the subject yang dia sebut di sini, dia miss satu subjek lagi, bahasa Melayu, bahasa Inggeris, mathematics and science. Now, these are the 4 subject, especially kalau you are interested to join the Air Force, you have to study very, very hard. For your info, semasa Uncle berkhidmat sebagai komandan kepada Sekolah Pegawai Kadet TUDM, the candidate that join untuk latihan adalah candidate yang tak kurang pada 5 distinction minimum at that time. I even have straight A student joining the Air Force. Personally, saya panggil dia untuk interview and I respect her for her choice. Minat dia sungguh untuk jadi pilot. Right, so adik-adik kalau berminat untuk join Air Force, don't just aim to pass or to meet the requirement, aim to do well. So do it now. You have for Form 3, you have 3 years to do it. Form 4, 2 years to do it. Form 5 still not too late. You can study very, very hard. Okay, next slide. Now the next slide is talking about how do you apply. Macam mana adik nak apply? Senang saja, iklan akan dikeluar. Now, adik akan tahu keputusan SPM akan keluar masa yang terdekat. Kebiasaannya bulan Mac, kadang-kadang bulan April, kadang-kadang awal Februari. It depends. Sekiranya before that, bahagian TKC, sel C akan keluar iklan. So, adik-adik dinasihatkan banyak membaca surat khabar sebelum result keluar untuk mencari iklan ni. Now, kita permohonan adalah atas online, alright, and the website adalah seperti dipaparkan di situ. MAF Headquarters Military.my. Jom masuk tentera, alright. And dokumen yang diperlukan sinaraikan sebelah kanan. Nah, adik-adik, yang dokumen ni adalah dokumen kita photostat, salinan sahaja. Alright, kalau ada yang Division 1 officer tu minta dia chop dan dia sign sebagai mengesahkan daripada sijil asal. I think tak payah sebut satu persatu lah apa yang dokumen yang perlukan. Nanti Encik Ramesh dengan Encik Kannan can produce this and give it to them. Next slide. Okay, the next scheme is the scheme cadet UPNM. Yang ni yang adik-adik should now try to join, alright? As pegawai cadet UPNM. Now, let's go on the next slide. A little bit background on cadet UPNM ni, dia bermula dengan Federal Military FMC, alright? College, Federal Military College. Kemudian dia tukar ke Royal Military College and then dia tukar ke ACMA. Di slide ni dia tunjuk ACMA it started in 1995 and then time evolved, upgraded to become a university, dinamakan Universiti Pertahanan Negara Malaysia, UPNM. That is in November 2006. Now, universiti ni ada 4 fakulti which we will go through afterward. Di mana dia? Di Sungai Besi, Kuala Lumpur. Next slide. Now, this slide shows you program asasi, bermakna in your first year, right, you will go through this program, the medical, engineering, science and technology, and management strategic defense, right? This is the basic first year. Now, adik-adik kalau dapat join after you apply, now this first year is the one they will observe you, alright? You will join as a bakal pegawai cadet, alright? You meet all the requirement that you will be assessed, alright? And during that period of 1 year, and then come the second year, alright? Come the second year, they will perform interview for them to start selecting cadets full time in the UPNM. All right. So can go to the next slide. The 4 faculties involved will be as per the slide: medical, engineering, pengajian dan pengurusan pertahanan, alright, security studies, and the science and technology, defense science and technology. So kalau adik tengok pada 4 fakulti ini, dia menunjukkan it is highly technical. Untuk nak join armed forces, it is highly technical. Alright? Okay, next slide. Now, this is special about pegawai cadet UPNM berbanding dengan kalau kita join as a pegawai cadet graduan. Now, next slide will show you this is the advantage. Alright, dia punya berat timbang dia. One more press to show the slide. No, patah balik. Where is the balance there? They should come up with a balance there. Forward. That's coming back, forward. Ada? No slide. I thought the slide.
Go in front.
Front. Some more, front.
Yeah.
That's the one. Now, adik-adik kalau tengok pada timbang di sini, adik akan notice on the right tu, kalau adik dapat join sebagai pegawai cadet UPNM, adik akan dapat gaji dan allowance, mendapat segala keperluan asas, alright? Everything given to you. Compare kalau you join as a graduate, kemudian you have to find your own. Adik akan dapat tajaan sepenuhnya masuk di sini. All your tuition fees, your academic fees, whatever fees been paid by the armed forces. And then the last one, which is very good, when you completed your studies, you are assured of working in the armed forces, sama ada in the army, the navy, or the air force. Alright. Next slide. Alright. Adik, untuk tarik minat adik tengok situ, adik masuk belajar saja, tahun pertama adik dah dapat duit dah dapat gaji dah. Bukan allowance tau, gaji tu. Bermakna adik kena bayar cukai lah. Alright, tahun pertama adik dah dapat gaji 1,500. Mana mak bapak nak bagi 1,500 kat kita tu? Alright, so adik dah lepas dah. Masuk UPNM, adik dah dapat gaji, adik boleh hidup sendiri. Boleh beli handphone dah. Alright. And tahun kedua, you look at the pay sehingga ke tahun kelima. Tahun kelima dapat banyak, 2,000. Kalau campur dengan allowance ni, adik akan dapat lebih kurang 800 ke dekat-dekat 1000. Bermakna kalau campur 1,500 dengan allowance kan you akan dapat 2,000 lebih sebulan. Ui, student first year dah dapat duit 2,000 lebih adik. Orang bagi. Dah lah baju bagi, makan bagi, tempat tidur bagi. So you are provided. Mak bapak lepas tangan saja. Okay? For you to study. Next one. Tak bebankan keluarga ya. Now, ini yang keistimewaan dia lagi. Alright. Adik tidak perlu bayar yuran pengajian, yuran latihan, penginapan sajian disediakan, makan minum tidur semua provided, pakaian pun dia bagi. Adik tak payah beli seluar dalam ni, seluar dalam pun dia provide. Okay. And of course bila adik tak sihat, medical also cover. Kita ada doktor pakar tentera kita. Dan kita ada juga kemudahan dobi dan jahitan, bermakna pakaian adik kalau koyak apa-apa, hantar je. Tak payah nak pening kepala untuk repair. Next. Now, syarat-syarat untuk adik nak masuk. Nah, syarat ni is very simple adik. Get a good result. Can we go on the next slide? Now, the good result here is, right, yang sebelah, hang on, okay. Yang sebelah kiri sekali itu, get a good result, especially technical subject. Contohnya, masa kita belajar di Form 5, result kita Maths, Science, Bahasa Malaysia, Bahasa Inggeris, score distinction. Right? Because calon minta untuk masuk UPNM terlalu ramai. So if you want to be the lucky one, make sure you get a good result. Masih tak lambat untuk adik belajar bersungguh-sungguh, ya. Alright. Untuk tempoh pengajian, kalau you apply to do engineering, it will take you 4 years. If you do science and technology, 3 years. Management 3 years, and medical lama sikit, which is standard worldwide 5 years. Now, gaji di sebelah kanan tu, tengok gaji bila adik dah dapat telah ditauliahkan, tamat latihan ketenteraan dan juga akademik, adik akan diberi pangkat Lieutenant Muda. Contohnya kalau ada adik bernama Wong, Lieutenant Muda Wong. Kalau ada nama Syafiq, Lieutenant Muda Syafiq. Di belakang tu dia akan tulis TUDM. Now, gaji adik banding dengan universiti, untuk pengurusan dapat 2005, engineering 2008 dan perubatan adalah 3000. Masuk dengan allowance, you are looking about 800 to 1000. Adik take home, you are looking about 3005 to 4000. Alright adik? So bermaknanya selepas tahun yang kelima ke ataupun ke-6 ke, adik dah mula start taking home about 35 to 4000. Okay, next. Nah, kelayakan asas adik dekat sama macam graduan ini, semua sama di sini. Alright. Berat badan, tinggi, mata, telinga, berdebuk-berdebak ni. Tapi adik untuk sekarang keep yourself fit. Sekiranya ada kurikulum yang menggalakkan kita to keep fit, alright, join the group, alright, marathon run ke apa ke, keep yourself fit, alright. What uncle did when I was a student, I'm a sportsman. I like to do exercise in the morning. I like to do exercise in the evening. At night, I focus myself on my study. Alright, and I spend a lot of hours studying. Alright, okay. So the kelayakan asas is shown here. Cik Rameh dengan Captain Kannan can provide you with that kelayakan asas. Next slide will be kelayakan minimum. Kalau adik tengok di sini, this is minimum, which is I'm sure all of you can make it. Tetapi kalau adik betul-betul berminat nak join, because the standard yang memohon untuk join, the standard is very high, ramai, alright. So and then the computer will do the selection menggunakan UPU. Of course they will take the top yang 8As, 7As, 6As. Dia akan ambil yang tu dulu. Yang lebih-lebih tu mungkin dia consider 5As, 4As and 3As. Alright, so cadangkan adik-adik, you all study very hard this 4 subject, Maths, Science, English and Bahasa Malaysia. Alright, If you can score all A's, that will be very good. Okay, next slide. Now, this is the procedure for you to apply to be a cadet UPNM. Alright, dia akan keluar iklan tu, you register dengan unit pengambilan universiti UPU secara online. It's written there, website upu.gov.my. Now, when you have submitted, there are 1,000 that apply, right? They will select the best. They will inform you to come for the interview, pemilihan. Alright, so the pemilihan will be, it will start with medical check-up. Dia akan check kita punya dokumen, dia akan check kita punya akademik, alright, and then dia akan do some physical ujian physical, right? Which kita akan tunjuk on the next slide. Dan adik-adik yang berjaya dalam interview ni akan dipanggil untuk latihan di UPM Sungai Besi. Now, this is the process pemilihan. Adik look at the topmost. The first thing, the staff pengambilan, they will check documentation adik-adik. Then they will do the medical check-up. Dia ada ujian menulis dan lisan. Maksudnya ni written and oral. Nah, di sini yang written selalunya lah yang banyak gagal adalah di peringkat medical dan juga peringkat bertulis dan lisan. Written and oral. This is where banyak calon-calon dihantar pulang lah. Yang mana yang berjaya will stay back to do the next ujian. So adik-adik, especially under oral ni, jangan segan untuk nak bercakap. Apa yang start ni, they want to see your confident of talking. Adik confident bercakap. Tak apalah adik punya English tu broken tu, don't worry. Janji confident. Right? They will give you a selection of 3 choice. Pilih satu, they give you 5 minutes to prepare, then you talk. Alright? Yang ni cikgu boleh tolong lah. Train them early. Topik dia senang-senang je. Contoh yang saya dapat, mengebun. Kebun. I choose that subject, saya goreng lah dalam bahasa Malaysia dan bahasa Inggeris. No problem at all. Alright? After that, when you pass your medical and your oral written test, you go to the ujian physical, right? When you finish that, akan melalui lembaga awal dan lembaga nombor 3, so on and so on, sehingga adik dipanggil untuk melapor diri. So proses ni adalah proses yang very meticulous and very long process. Bayangkan kalau kandidat dipanggil, katakan untuk interview saja 500, yang dipilih tak ramai. They need about 100 people ni. Alright, so adik got to work hard, study hard, alright. Be very focused with what you do. Tunjuk confident, tunjuk kebolehan untuk memimpin juga. Because bila kita jadi pegawai QDM ataupun pegawai mana-mana, you have to show the level of confidence. Alright. Okay, next slide. Okay, we have Q&A there. Any questions?
Excellent, Dato. Right on time.
Okay.
Shall I stop the sharing of the slides, Dato?
Yes, please.
No, I think you can keep it if you want to, because there's or you can come back later on.
There. Remember
additional slides later on.
Additional slide behind that Q&A. Yep. Okay.
Okay. There's this question here. Mazmin Ottoman. Is there a race quota for admission?
Race quota. That I think is the right question for you to ask is the cell C. I'm not able to answer that. All right, I'm not in the position to answer that. The cell C will be the correct one. Yeah.
One more. Could you please explain more about medical course at UPNM?
Medical course. Wow. That's out of my line. I'm more on the airport side. Okay. For your info lah, back to the first question, the quota that I know lah, normally Universiti Pertahanan Negara Malaysia, it is earlier designed for the armed forces, right? And of course, the priority will be given of the uniform unit, uniform department from the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Police, Custom, Immigration, all those uniform. if the parents are in uniform applied, the chances for them to get will be much better compared to a candidate lain-lain. I think they gave that little bit of preference for uniform children. Okay, that one I know. In terms of races, I think you need to direct that to the CLC. With reference to medical, medical that I know, the standard is very high. All the subject you take, you have to score all distinction. That I know. All right. So meaning to say, those who applied for medical, if you take 8 subject or 9 subject, all those subject got to be A's, distinction. All right, that I know. Other than that, I'm not able to help you.
So the better, more A's, more higher chance to get in, basically.
Oh yes. Medical for sure is all distinction.
Yeah.
All distinction. Yeah.
Okay, another one. This is a little bit on medical side also, but physical. Can I join the Air Force with a hernia?
Oh, that would be the first tapisan that you see. The military require very high fitness and medical fitness. So medical for eyesight, I think they will allow spectacle. All right, medical, if I'm not wrong. But hernia is that will be the first to be phased out.
Okay. Is there anything can be done about it? You can go and.
Saya cadangkan seek for medical treatment to get it treated, and when you join at the time, it's all been treated. That'd be good. That I know during my time, hernia, they will inspect you. The doctor, will test you. First, they will ask you for you to declare, and then they will start to check you physically. From there, they will discover whether you have hernia or not.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Next one, my friend minat untuk join TUDM, but
okay.
the only problem is she has, I've not heard this word also, scoliosis. I don't know what is that. Is she can she be accepted? I'm not sure what is that. Some medical condition.
Well, the aviation doctors are there during the. You see, the medical checkup that is being mentioned by me is the first stage of the medical checkup. However, if you are applying to be a candidate for the Air Force, especially you are a candidate to be a pilot, you will have further medical checkup, which is 100% check from your head all the way to your toes. All right, very very detailed check, medical check. The Air Force require you to be physically fit and medically fit. We can't afford to have calon student that does not have a good medical record. Okay, so that is on the medical side.
What about how many female pilots there are in the Air Force or something like that?
Oh, okay. Now, during my time as an instructor, we had 3 that joined us. They were our pioneer. Brigadier General Fazilah now, Dato Fadilah now, 1-star. We have Amelia. She left. She's a fighter pilot. She left and joined CAAM as an examiner. And we have Zainab. She migrated to US, married Mak Saleh there. And so they are our first 3. Subsequent after that, we had, I think, a lot now. You are looking at coming to about 20 of them. And most of them by now are captain of a lot on C-130, CN-235, and some of them are even instructors now in the flying school. Okay, so don't worry about not having any lady pilot. We have plenty of lady pilots. And they are good, especially Patricia. She's Amelia and Patricia. Both of them are fighter pilots. We are proud of them. Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Normally William will have some questions. William, do you have anything?
No questions from YouTube at this moment.
Or any of your personal question?
Oh. I feel like joining the Air Force now.
you know, William, the process to be a pilot is a very long process. During my time is after Form 5, we do 6 months in Sebatangkara and 6 months in Royal Military College, and after that, straight away we go to the flying school. And it took us about a year plus to get our wing, and then we start reporting to all the squadron where they train us ground school, and then they train us to fly that aircraft. Every time we change aircraft, we will do ground school, we will do flying, we do ground school, we do flying. Untuk adik-adik yang nak join Air Force ni, remember when you join the Air Force, it's never the end of learning. You are going to read books and books and books and books. You know, you are looking at volume that thick, all right? And you got to digest that. And for your info, the passing mark for the Air Force punya ground examination is 80%. So if you cukup makan 50%, you will fail, right? So you got to score 80 and above for you to able to proceed to next phase of which is flying. And another test that is very high standard, the emergency and the limitation of the aircraft system is you got to score 100%. If you score 98%, you fail, right? So when you join the Air Force, the standard is very high, no compromise for standard. You are caught for copying, you are out. You don't do well, you don't score more than 80%, you are out. You don't score 100% for your engine and for your limitation emergency, you are out. You know why we demand 100% for emergency and limitation? Now, emergency is something that you have to memorize. You got no time to open the book because you are flying alone in aircraft. Nobody to tell you, not to read for you, this is the emergency. Everything has to be inside your head. So you have to memorize that one by one. If you have 20 items that you have to memorize, 20 items you have to memorize. But not to frighten you, normally emergency we have about 4 to 5 items for you to immediately do it. Subsequent that, we can open the checklist to refer to it. But the immediate one will be you have to memorize. That's the reason why we say 100%. For limitation,
navigate and communicate.
That is the basic of flying, right? You fly the aircraft first, you aviate, navigate, communicate. Talk later because, you know, you got to handle the aircraft safely. When you have everything under control, stabilized, you call, you declare yourself, now you are in emergency. Right? Watch a lot of video on aircraft accident investigation. You notice that pilot will first fly the aircraft. The controller will be calling him. He will not answer because he's busy trying to control the aircraft. Right?
Thank you.
And,
thank you, Dato. You have given a very, very clear step-by-step approach. I wish I had this kind of information when I was like Form 3 because you're able to show the steps required, what I need to improve on, what I need to what do you call it, get strengthen my body, things like that. These are very very important points which I had when I was younger. I have a question, Dato. I would like to know the what do you call it, the possibility of the entry of UAVs into the Air Force. Is that happening now? I see it happening in the other services like the PDRM and all, but in the Air Force, can you care to comment on that?
We already have that. You remember the incident in Lahad Datu, the Eagle, right? The Eagle is it used to be piloted by us with our student, and then when we send student for solo, but we have also converted their aircraft to become UAV, right? I mean in the armed forces, we do have UAV. It's much cheaper to operate UAV to make a surveillance over an area of interest. You send a UAV there is cheaper, right? Than for you to send an aircraft. Now the operating cost on aircraft is very very expensive, but so UAV is much cheaper.
So another competency would be being a gamer right now, because to be able to remotely operate an aircraft is something that is right now happening.
I agree with you here, William. No, you notice, sometimes our passion to join the armed forces, the Air Force, it's not only this true scheme that I mentioned to you. There are many schemes. Sometimes you don't have to be in the Air Force. You can be an expert in UAV, you can be an expert in computer, you can be an expert in other areas which the Air Force is interested. And then you will work with them, and you are still with them. Now you are on contract with them, you move with them, you go to area of operation, you go here, you do that. So it is not the end for you. If you are not successful to join the Air Force as a pilot, there are many other avenues. Remember, the Army have pilots, the Navy have pilots, the police have pilots, the Department of Civil Aviation or CAM now have pilots. We have the bomber also have pilots. So the avenue to be a pilot is not the Air Force alone. But the challenge, of course, is in the Air Force lah. Right? You fly the fighter aircraft, there be the top of your life lah. If you look at the hierarchy of need, that is the highest lah. Self fulfillment. All right. Okay. That answer you, William?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let me. There's one more question here about eyesight, Dato.
6 your eyesight.
Okay, can we get into Air Force if we have a really bad eyesight?
Okay, my advice to you now, our current medical advancement in Malaysia is so good. I would suggest the parents, the student, or even the teachers to guide the student to treat for treatment. Go take the child for treatment before they start to apply, because I think there is a room for you to improve, and they will only test you at that time for the interview, and they expect to see a 6/6 full eye check. If you don't meet that 6/6, they will say, "No, Adik, thank you very much. You can go back." Those who have 6/6 eyesight will proceed to the next level of interview. So that will be for your info lah. So it's not too late for them to seek treatment. All right. Nowadays you can do a lot of things to make your eyes back to normal 6/6.
So
okay.
LASIK, such as LASIK, is it approved in Air Force?
Yes, it's approved. As long as you have your eyesight to a level of excellent 6/6,
okay,
you apply Air Force, you are there. You are there.
All right. Next questions. Can you share some information about overseas cadet? For example, like United States Air Force. I think this is.
Okay. Good question. Now, adik-adik, the avenue for you to join ni banyak. And if you are targeting to be a student overseas, back to what I said to you, study very hard, because you are going to compete with a lot of people with the same interest. They also want to go overseas. So do well in your studies, do well in your military training, right? Impress your lecturers, impress your instructors by showing good results, and for sure they will recommend you to go overseas. Now the Air Force, we send almost every year candidates to the United States Air Force Academy, Flying Academy, right? So this.
What is it?
Hang on, I got incoming call. Let me reject the call. Okay, all right.
I think sometimes some of the cadets are sent to West Point.
Yes, for the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, they have different academy to be sent. We even send students to Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, Pakistan, India. Whatever military academy in the world, the top. Of course, we choose the top academy that we felt is good for our officers. We will send them. So, when you join UPNM, just don't aim to get your degree, aim to do well so that you be selected to go overseas. So that is my advice to adik-adik lah, right? Yes. Because the avenue for you to go overseas is always there. It's only you. You decide whether you want to go overseas or not.
As young cadets also, this is a very brilliant opportunity for them to actually network with the future leaders of the different armed forces.
Betul. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Dato. How often does a RMAF pilot fly a fighter jet?
Okay, the selection process for candidate to be a fighter pilot will
No,
come
no.
from the
What's the question is once you already become a pilot in Air
uh,
Force, how
uh,
often do you fly?
oh, okay. How often do you fly? The operational requirement dictates how much you fly. If you don't have any operational requirement, then you do a lot of training. All right.
Mm, mm,
Normally, the early stage of your flying career, you will be exposed to a lot of flying, so that you are competent and you are skilled. Of
mm,
course, the reason why is very simple. If at all tomorrow is we have a war with whichever country, you are ready, you are confident to send you to fight your enemy out there. All right.
mm, mm, mm.
Okay.
So this one is one question about your experience. What is your best experience in your career?
Wow. All part of my flying career as a
Yeah,
student,
yeah.
in the basic and my advanced, and
Mm,
then when I become operational pilot.
mm-hmm,
Now I was fortunate to be exposed to a lot of aircraft in my 40 years career. Of course, my flying career is about 20 years. The rest will be desk work. But no, the exposure I was given, there's everything is the best lah, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I think being an instructor is a challenge itself lah, a
Mm,
flying instructor,
So
right?
that is the
So
reason you need to have a passion, passion for the job. Then everything becomes nice. You enjoy
correct.
what you do.
You
Yeah.
know, the Air Force also not only as a pilot you be in various category as a helicopter pilot, transport pilot, and a fighter
Mm,
pilot.
mm,
Now the ultimate no, the highest level for a pilot is normally number one, you become an instructor. Number two, when you become instructor, you want to go to achieve a cat instructor. We started with a C cat instructor. You will be upgraded to B, then you'll be upgraded to A. Now you have to sit for all this exam. All right, and uh, for the instructor, is the A cat instructor is the one that you want to pursue. Then the highest of all this is the test pilot. Some of you who are very good in flying and who is very knowledgeable technically, all right, you are going to be selected and we will send you for a test pilot to be
yeah.
a test pilot. All right.
Mm,
So the Air Force, we have the current chief of Air Force now, Tan Sri Akbar is a test pilot. All right. Unfortunately, we have about 2 to 3 that left us. All right. But it's an asset to the civil aviation of Malaysia. They
mm,
joined there. One of them is in Dubai, becoming the CAA of immigrants. So
yeah.
imagine how marketable our pilots are. All right.
Yeah, the
Okay.
previous session we had was with Brigadier General Mustafa, the helicopter.
He's a test
He's a
pilot
test pilot, yeah,
for helicopter. Correct.
helicopters,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was talking to one of my friend who sends
And
regards to you.
Captain Kannan, test pilot have additional 4,000.
Allowance. Oh, okay.
The flying allowance is 4,000. They get another 4,000, so 8,000 under the test pilot there.
Okay.
Wow, a
Yeah,
lot of money.
I was telling you yesterday I was talking to Lieutenant Colonel Saravanan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
He sent his
elite,
regards to you.
elite,
Elite. Yeah,
elite instructor. Yeah,
yeah.
elite
So
CEO now.
yeah, he's
My,
also was my junior at the uni. Yeah.
good guy, good guy.
Yeah. Okay, next one. What is it? I don't know if I want to join the Air Force or the airline.
Okay, my advice to the children here is, if you are looking for adventure because you are young, of course, you got to get the blessing of your parents. Being parents, they are overprotective sometimes. They're scared. When you fly, you blah 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 blah. Of course, you have to convince your parent. Kalau sekiranya kita dijemput oleh Allah Taala or to be invited by God, it can be anytime. While you and me talking, suddenly we collapse. It can happen anytime. While sitting down, while talking to a friend, while playing games, you just collapse and die. So dying is there lah. Is there.
Mm.
So you need to convince your parents. Flying is very safe, right? We have a lot of redundancy in the system. You are going to be well trained by pilots who are very qualified and experienced. All right. So the element of safety is above all. we call for safety as our number one priority.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
My experience, after SPM, I got an interview for the Air Force pilot interview.
Yeah.
But again, as what you say at that time, I was I was interested, but the people around me, everybody discouraged me. So end up I didn't go for the interview. So, but
Well,
again, I still wanted to be a pilot. Then I became an airline pilot. So yeah.
Yeah, living proof is me lah.
Yeah.
I've been flying. I have several instances where until today is a trauma for me. But then these are lesson learned. And then God has given you opportunity to learn from that mistake. So don't repeat it, and then pass that experience that you have to your youngsters.
Yeah.
So being a flying instructor, this is where we'll keep on reminding the student.
Yeah.
Don't do this, don't do that. And we rationalize to them. We tell our own experience. This is what I did, and I was lucky. I came out. We have several students crash during their flying training because they did not listen to the instructors, and they might have done something that they are not supposed to do. They thought they are good enough, and then they crash. I have a few of that. But of course, some of them, inadvertently entered into a difficult maneuver. They couldn't recover. That one is quite unfortunate. Well,
one more
very
question
small
about the
percentage.
eyesight. One more question about the eyesight. I think we already talked about it. You need to go to the doctor and then check. And
get it treated because see, now I was told, get yourself treated, and within that 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, if you have that time to recover, and then when you apply, you have the treatment is all over. And then when they test you, they won't ask you, have you done this, have you done that? No, they just test you. You got 6, proceed to the next round of the interview.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next one from Kai Hin. May I know if it's no chance to involve in aviation if didn't meet minimum height requirement?
Minimum height requirement. Well, we have a few short pilots. They're just touch minimum. Some of them managed to, raise their feet a bit, to meet that 5.2, 5 feet 2 inches. And I think the medical staff at that time might be felt sympathy over this kid. He was very interested. So they bagi chan lah, And this guy, when he joined, his challenges here is when you fly, your lower limb and your upper limb has to be long enough for you to reach the controls of the aircraft. So if your lower and upper limb is not long enough to reach, that will endanger you. All right. This is the why medical at the early stage, we will check. You meet the requirement, proceed. You don't meet, you have to go back lah.
Yeah.
They will
I
send
think
you back.
that's about it, Dato. If you want to continue with the balance of the slide, or
if there's any question
related to that,
then I just like to motivate the children here. Adik-adik, for your info, kalau adik tengok, let's start kita nak menanamkan minat kita dalam flying dengan kita mengambil hobi macam ini. Adik? You see all this is a collection of aircraft yang uncle collect. These are all American aircraft and the NATO aircraft. Right? You have the Rafale there, you have the F-14, you have the F-18, you have the F-15. So these are the American and the NATO aircraft. Now on this side is the collection of Russian and Chinese aircraft. Right? Now down here you have the collection of the other aircraft that I have, and helicopters here. And over here I have collection. So adik-adik, kalau mak bapak mampu, alright, take up a hobby of building up an aircraft, and that will be good for you. Okay. Alright.
That's very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think any more, Ramesh or William, you all want to add on anything?
I think we have come to the end. Time is very good. We have already exceeded 9 minutes. Perhaps William can say something, and then I will say something to wrap up the session.
So I will hand it back to you all, and then you can make a conclusion. Yeah, I think it was a very good talk. And, we have, Dato has managed to, he explained all the requirements to join the forces, very detailed. And the only thing the students need to do is to have interest and passion, and obviously to keep your health, your physical good, and do well in your science subjects. Yeah. Okay, I'll pass it back to Mr. Ramesh. Thanks.
William, you want to say something
Yeah,
first?
just that thank you very much, Captain Kannan, for your thoughts on that. And Brigadier General Azizon, you did a wonderful. I was actually off my seat here, grasping all the points. There, we will also run this on our YouTube channel. So please, if after the event, you can actually review the video again, and also please share this with your friends, because there are many what they call it, students out there who are interested in getting into the armed forces, especially the Air Force. So you can actually share with them the video on this step-by-step procedures. Thank you very much, Brigadier General, and I think that's it for me. Pass it to Mr. Ramesh.
Thank you, William. I think you have summed it up very well. That once again, on behalf of STEM for All Makerspace, we like to thank you very much for this presentation, which is very insightful, especially for students. From the comments that we see, there's a lot of students who are very interested. I also wear another cap representing the PIBG, and I shared this with a lot of PIBGs, and they also felt that this is what we need, to hear the industry, the experts from the professions. I think that was one of the reason why Captain Kannan said, let us bring the industry expert. William have shared it, and I thought you also mentioned during your time, during our time in school, we did not have such opportunity or such exposure. And I can tell you that exposure is still very much lacking, right? So that schools are still, some schools are fortunate, they bring in the experts, pilots and engineers and scientists, but very few schools get to do it. So I think one of the things that we really like to do is to continue this. And now with this thing that I see it as a blessing, 2 years ago we had never imagined that we can reach out to 1,000 students at one go. I think this allows us to do that, and schools which do not have access will be very privileged to hear you again, Dato. So I would like to once again thank you and Captain Kannan for the excellent moderation, for moderating this session. And we look forward I will share this with other schools, and perhaps the Guru counselors may want to have this kind of a session so that they are also aware how to encourage and how to motivate their kids, their students, to take up STEM related subjects. Ultimately, that's our goal, right? As you mentioned in your presentation, they need to have good, besides Bahasa and English, they also need to do well in their science and maths. So these are things that, this is where we come in, to encourage and advise kids that, to have a brighter future, please do pay more attention to your science subjects, right? So with that, thanks again, Dato, and thank you.
Can I say my parting words? Now,
Sure, please. Sure, please.
I may say something wrong during my presentation, maybe because I have left the Air Force for more than 4 years. So maybe I quoted some parts of the sentence wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong there, all right? Forgive me for that error on my side, okay? I think the slide is safe for us to share. The video is also safe for us to share. All right, my personal background, that there's no requirement for you to share.
Thank you, Dato. That's very
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you. Very inspiring. Your personal background is very inspiring.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So,
Thank you.
students, thanks again for joining. We still have got 34 students who are very keen to follow what's happening. So we'd like to thank you all. And those who have signed up to the Google form, you'll be receiving your e-certificate, right? To show our appreciation for those who have paid attention to this program. So we'll continue with that. Those who have signed up with the Google form, please look forward. You'll receive an e-certificate within a week's time. And we'll keep you informed of our future programs that are being planned for September. And thanks again to Captain Kannan for bringing
the next talk is about microlight, the small aircraft. So I have one of the passionate guy who does that flying. So I already talked to him. You just need to set a date, probably next Saturday lah. We will.
You suggest the date and time, then we'll resume with that sessions. All right. Okay, so with that, happy weekend to all of you, and take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all soon again.